In Odan village, whispers of the daddy girl Coven spread like the Amatan wind, soft yet chilling, heard but never spoken aloud. It was said that the Coven had existed for generations, led by a woman who never aged. Some claim she had once been a humble wife, devoted and kind, loving her husband even when his heart grew cray. The man had once adored her, but as time passed, he turned to other women, treating her with scorn. His love soured into hatred, and his hands, once tender, became weapons. He beat her, mocked her, and one fateful afternoon, for the crime of unprepared food, he cast her into the forest, alone and wounded. That should have been the end of her story, but the whispers says otherwise. By forgotten where, deep in the wood, where the sun dare not shine, she wept until the earth itself seemed to answer. An unknown figure, some call it a spirit, other a god, offered her a gift. Power, not to mend her broken heart, but to rule, to command, a force that will make men bow and break just as she had been broken, to take from them through their daughters what they had taken from her. And so she rules, no longer a woman, no longer a wife, but something more, something terrifying. Over time, the daddy's girl Coven became a shadow that loomed over Odan. No one knew how the little girls were choosing or when. They never spoke of it, never betrayed a sign. But when strange deaths occurred, when fathers grew weak, when fear slittered through the village, the whisper pointed to them, and yet no proof was ever found. The village lived in silent dread, fearing what they could not see, never knowing that soon the darkness they fear would creep into their homes. And it all began with a birthday cake. In Akpitibi Academy, a small but prestigious kindergarten school, one fateful afternoon, the air was alive with excitement. It was Adesua's 7th birthday. As the daughter of the wealthiest man in the village, her celebration was no ordinary affair. Her mother had sent a grand cake, teary-tiered, covered in pink and white icing with golden beads that glistened under the sun. The school mistress sliced the cake, distributing neat pieces. Among those receiving their share were Oluwatomisin, Tommy, and Ife Oluwa, Ife, two inseparable friends. Tommy, eat your cake now, Ife urged, already licking icing off her fingers. Tommy shook her head, carefully wrapping a piece in his serviette. No, I want to show my mommy first. Ife Oluwa, on the other hand, devoured us in quick bites. Neither of them knew that their life had just been uttered forever. That night, Ife Oluwa tossed and turned in her sleep. She found herself in a dark clearing, surrounded by a circle of veiled women. The air was thick with the scent of burning herbs, and in the center of the gathering sat a large calabash filled with thick, dark liquid. A figure stepped forward, tall with piercing red eyes, dressed in red robe. You have eaten the gifts. Ife wanted to move, to run, but she felt paralyzed. Welcome, daddy's girl, the woman continued, her voice both soothing and terrifying. Ife Oluwa felt an unfamiliar power surge within her, her senses sharpening. Suddenly, she could see the weaknesses of men, of fathers. A voice, smooth as silk, whispered in her ear, "You will control your father. You will take power. But first, you must do something for us." Ife breath came in short gasps. "What do you want me to do?" The woman leaned closer. "Your mother must go. Only then will you be one of us." Ife Oluwa jolted awake, sweat soaking her night dress, but deep inside, something had shifted. She was choosing. She was special. Meanwhile, across the village, Tomisin had forgotten about the cake. The next morning, Mama Tomi was clearing her daughter's bag when her finger brushed against something soft and damp. She pulled it out and screamed. What she hid in her hand was no longer a cake, it was a human finger. The room fell into heavy silence. One of the older maids whispered, "This is not ordinary." Tomisin rushed in. "Mama, what is it?" Mama Tomi turned to her daughter, her voice sharp. "Tomi, did you eat from this cake?" "No," Tomisin whispered. "I forgot about it." Mama Tomi sat back breathless. She had heard the whisper of girls who gain unnatural influence over their father, but at the cost of their mothers. She had never believed those stories until now. Deep in the forest, the witches gathered. Seated around the fire was the most fair woman of the village, leaders of the Daddy's Girl Coven. Adiswa mother sat among them, her face shadowed by the flickering flame. A woman in a blood-red robe, the high priestess, struck the ground with a staff, silencing the murmurs. Her voice was cold, commanding, "We have a problem." The witches leaned in. The second girl did not eat the cake. She was supposed to be ours. Murmur of discontent spread through the group. A younger witch, her skin glowing in the firelight, is. "Perhaps she's stronger than we thought." The high priestess shook her head. "No, she simply did not eat the cake. The spell never entered her." The witches exchanged dark glances. Adeswa's mother, her voice filled with frustration, asked, "Then what do we do about it? The village is slipping from our grasp." Another woman, draped in red, tapped her long nails against the calabash. "The girl it is already under our control, but she is hesitating. She will not carry out the task." The high priestess' eye flashed. "Then we must push her further. We must break her will." She turned to an older witch, her face lined with age. "Summon the spirits. Let them haunt her night. Let her wake with her whispers in her ear. Let her see her mother as an enemy." A slow, wicked smile spread across the older woman's face. "It shall be done." Another witch raised a carved wood cup filled with the dark liquid. "And what of the village?" The high priestess' voice was smooth as silk. "Once we take these girls, we take their fathers. And through their fathers, we take Odan village." The witches clapped their hands once in unison. The fire in the calabash flared, turning deep blue. The plan was in motion. Back in Ife-Oluwa's home, things had changed. Her father, a man once firm in discipline, had become soft, obedient. She asked for things, he gave them. She refused responsibilities, he let them slide. She could feel her power over him growing, but her mother was watching. One evening, as Ife sat beside her father laughing, her mother studied them carefully. Something wasn't right. Her husband's eyes were distant, glazed over, and Ife-Oluwa's smile. It was not a shy smile. It was a smile of someone who knew she was in control. A deep chill ran down her spine. She had seen this before, and she knew what she has to do. The next morning, Mama Tomi went to the elders. She placed the finger before them. The oldest elder, his beard as white as ash, frowned. "This is the work of the Daddy's Girl Coven." Gasps spread through the room. Mama Ife-Oluwa, her voice shaking, spoke. "They have my daughter. She's changing before my eyes." The elder nodded. "Then we must act fast. If we do not stop them now, the whole village will fall under their spell." A plan was made. The strongest men and women of the village will go to the forest at dawn. They will put an end to the Coven's reign, and Uda village will never be the same again. As the villagers gathered their torches and charm deep in the forest, The witches prepare for battle. The high priestess, staring into the bubbling calabash, smiled. Let them come. She raised a blade of black stone, pressing it against her palm. Blood dripped into the fire. The battle for Odan village has begun. The village square was alive with quiet murmurs. The elders stood in a tight circle, whispering among themselves. The warriors, men with ardent faces and women with fierce eyes, clutched their weapon, their grip firm. Some hid shams, woven with sacred curry shares. Others carried torches soaked in palm oil, ready to burn whatever evil lurked in the forest. Mama Ifeoluwa and Mama Tomi stood at the front, their faces set with determination. The oldest elder, Papa Ade, raised his walking stick. We do not go to the forest for revenge. We go to break the hold of the daddy's girl Coven. For generations, they have tormented us. If we do not stop them, our daughters will no longer be ours. Our sons will fall under their rule. Our men will be their slaves. The village murmured in agreement. Another elder, Mama Ulung, stepped forward. Remember, do not let them touch you. Their power is in their hands, their eyes, their voice. Do not listen to their words. The warriors nodded. Then without another word, they moved, a silent army, disappearing into the darkness. Deep in the forest, the daddy's girl Coven had gathered, standing in a circle around their great calabash of power. The high priestess stood at the center, a black robe flowing like shadow around her, a hand hovered over the bubbling liquids inside the calabash, and her eyes glowed red with magic. She could feel the villagers coming. They think they can stop us, she murmured. Fools! A younger witch, barely older than 15, licked her lip. Should we summon the spirit now? The high priestess shook her head. No, we'll let them come. She turned to Adesuwa's mother, who stood quietly beside her. Is the girl under control? She hesitated. Adesuwa's mother admitted she is strong-willed. The high priestess sneered. She will break. And once she does, her mother will be no more. At that moment, the fire inside the calabash turned green smoke, rising into the night sky. The witches turned as one, their eyes flashing in the darkness. The villagers arrived at the edge of the clearing, torches raised high. The moment they stepped into the witches' territory, the ground trembled. A loud crack split the air, and suddenly the tree around them twisted, their branches forming cages of thick roots, a trap. A man tried to slash at the branches, but the moment his machete touched them, the root bled. Gaps filled the air. The witches began to chant. Their voices were soft at first, weaving through the air like sick, but soon they became thunder, shaking the ground beneath the villagers' feet. Some warriors dropped their weapon, their eyes going blank as the witches' word filled their mind. Mama Olu threw a handful of white powder into the air. Block your ear, do not listen. The villagers scrambled to obey, pressing their hands over their ears, but the witches had other weapons. From the darkness, figures emerged. Men, their eyes empty, their bodies moving like puppets. Gasps rang out as the villagers recognized them. They were fathers, husbands, brothers, men who had already fallen under the daddy's girl Coven. They moved forward like soldiers, blocking the villagers from advancing. A battle had begun. Fire and blood. Mama Tumi was the first to strike. She grabbed a torch and threw it into the air. It spun before landing on a tree, igniting it in blue flames. The fire did not spread. It climbed like a living thing, pouring towards the witch's calabash. One of the witches screamed. Another warrior swung his machete, cutting through the branches that tried to ensnare them. The villagers fought hard, their charm protecting them from the witch's magic, their weapon clashing against the enslaved men the Coven had sent to fight them, but the witches were strong. One by one, the villagers fell under despair. Their bodies went rigid, their eyes turned glassy. The high priestess laughed. You cannot defeat us, she whispered. Then she raised her hand. The tree trembled. The fire in the calabash turned black. And in the distance, Ife Oluwa, who had been watching everything from the shadow, felt something inside her snap. Ife Oluwa has been struggling. The whisper had filled her head for days. They have given her power. They had made her strong. But as she stood in the forest, watching the witches destroy the people she had known all her life, she felt something else. Was this what power meant? Was this what being special was? And then she saw her mother on her knees, a blade pressed against her throat. The high priestess stood over her smiling. "It is time," she said, looking at Ife Oluwa. "Complete your initiation." The world felt heavy. Ife Oluwa felt the power of the Coven pushing her forward. "Kill your mother." She stared at the woman who had given her life, the woman who had loved her even when she did not deserve it. Tears filled Ife Oluwa's eyes. "No!" The high priestess smile faded. Ife Oluwa took a step back. "No!" she repeated, her voice stronger. "I don't want this." Then before the high priestess could react, Ife grabbed the calabash and threw it to the ground. Crack! The calabash shattered, and with it the power of the Daddy's Girl Coven broke. The witches screamed. The men they had controlled collapsed, freed from their spell. The ground beneath them shook violently. The villagers rose again, their strength returning. Mama Ife Oluwa crawled to her daughter, holding her close. "My child," she whispered, "you have saved us." The witches, weakened and broken, tried to escape, but the villagers were ready. One by one, they were captured, their spell rendered useless without the calabash. The high priestess, now powerless, was surrounded. "You have lost," Baba Ade said. "She is baring her teeth like an animal." But she could do nothing. The villagers burned the remnants of the calabash, destroying the Coven's hold on Odan's village. And with that, the battle was over. Odan village was never the same again. The witches were banished, their name never spoken again. The mad who had been under their spell slowly regained themselves. Ife Oluwa, though forgiven, struggled with nightmare for months, but her mother never left her side. Tomisin, who had never eaten the cake, was hailed as a girl who had unknowingly resisted dark magic. And from that day, the villagers told their children, "Not every cake is to be eaten, and not every friend is truly a friend." The end.